Good morning. Hello, my name is Lindsay Carmichael. I am a staff member at TAME. I run our after school club program and our scholarship program. And I'm here today with Ivan Lopez. Want to introduce yourself, Ivan?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ivan Lopez. I'm a sophomore studying aerospace engineering at UT Austin right now, and I'm also interning at TAME.
We are so glad to have you. And thanks for taking some time to talk about this cool Walkalong Glider activity. I know that you helped us kind of introduce this activity to students at a virtual event recently, and you took some really cool notes and diagrammed some of the science behind the walk along glider activity. So I was thinking we could kind of give you a chance to talk about that science, and then maybe we could hear some of your path into your aerospace major. Sound good?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we can take a look at these excellent notes you made. Glider science. So tell me some more about what we're seeing here, and let me know if I should zoom in.
Yeah, could you zoom in just a little bit, like up towards the top, I guess the diagram?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the pictures you see here are what we consider a free body diagram. The first one you can see I have like a lot of arrows drawn in. Those are really just forces that are kind of acting on the air glider. So you can see that we have air coming in through the top, which is what makes the glider spin. The W, which is called omega that you see, is the direction in which the glider is spinning, the angular velocity. V right there, as you can see, is that is the kind of translation of velocity, the direction in which the glider moves as a whole. And G acting down is the gravity, which is 9.8 meters per second squared. And towards the bottom, you can see that I have it kind of rotating and also moving in the direction of V, as kind of described by the first diagram. And if you scroll down, I also kind of modeled it with equations that we use. So the first one we have is the translation, which is just like, if imagine it was a car moving, kind of that type of translation without any rotation really. And the equations that we use are the acceleration equations, velocity equations, and the position equations. And how we usually start is by modeling it with an acceleration equation. I don't really have a lot of, like, I guess you can say, kind of tools to measure accurately the acceleration. So I just kind of started with gravity, and which is negative g. And the velocity of an object would be the derivative of its acceleration, or its velocity, I'm sorry. So you would take the integral of acceleration to get you the velocity. And as you can see, I kind of go through that process to get you the result of negative 9.8 t plus c. The t is time, c would be the initial velocity. So like, let's say I give it a push, that's what you would add. And in continuing, you can find the position of the object by doing the same process, just taking the integral of the velocity with respect to time, and that would give you the position.
It's so cool to see this through your eyes. I had a lot of fun building the glider and describing how to make your own, and then practicing getting the glider to roll and glide and twirl like that was a lot of fun. But it's so cool to see this through your eyes and the equations you get to apply to it to figure out, the velocity and the position in space. It's so cool. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. On the next page, you see some more equations. Walk us through this.
Yeah, so here I was just finishing the equation for the position. As you can see, it ends up being negative 4.9 t squared plus c is equal to s, and c in this case would be the initial start position, the height. So let's say I dropped it from 3 feet up in the air, it would be a plus 3. And as you continue, you notice that what really keeps the glider like going, because theoretically you could do it forever, as it's a constant like kind of motion with the cardboard. But in the real world, a little breeze or just us being imperfect with the way we hold it will knock it down eventually. But the whole kind of process of it being able to spin and lift itself is that it creates, the cardboard does, it creates a area of high pressure to low pressure. And basically, the air keeps wanting to go to that low pressure, thus creating a sort of lift that keeps the glider going and also giving it a little spinning, the angular velocity. And it's something that we call Bernoulli's principle, as I kind of modeled there. It's a lot more complicated than that, but just to keep it a little simpler, that's kind of how I modeled it here.
Oh, cool. So if someone wanted to learn more about that, they could look up Bernoulli's principle and kind of find that same force in other places in the world, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
It occurs in everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the left, I have a video, but for some reason, I wasn't able to get it like as a link. But in the video, you can see I kind of took a video of the glider just falling down by itself, and I slowed it down and counted the amount of times that it spins in 1 second, and it ended up being 6.66 repeating in 1 second. And so the way we modeled the omega, which is the angular velocity, would just be the revolutions per second. And in this case, it would be 6.66 revolutions per second. In SI units, which is more customary, I guess you could say, that would be 41.88 radians per second. And so now going back into our original diagram, which we have here now, you can kind of see the exact numbers and forces that act on the glider to get like an idea of how it moves.
This is so cool. I love having this extra like depth for the activity, and really that you could walk us through these equations to analyze like how it moved. And I'm excited about that video. We'll see if we can find a way to edit into this video when we share it, so that students can see like how you measured it. We have the video of me originally building it and then rolling along in my wheelchair with the cardboard behind it and trying to get it to go as long as I could. It is exciting though, that the thought that if this were a perfect vacuum and we were able to drop it perfectly, it could spin forever.
Yeah.
There's video out there people can look up of students, walking down a long school hallway and getting the glider. They practice it and they can carry it for like a dozen feet or more. And it just feels.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty good videos. They run it for about like 10 minutes and they're just going nonstop. And then it's like the smallest thing that'll make it fall. And it's like, oh, it could have gone longer.
But getting it to go for 10 minutes, like that is some excellent gliding skills. Yeah, this is great. Well, thank you so much for breaking down the science of it. These equations and things that you broke down for us, how often do you get to use these in your aerospace major?
Every day. It's an everyday application of these equations, definitely.
That is so cool.
And it was kind of cool when I first saw the activity, and I was like, oh, wait, this could be described by like equations. This is what I'm literally doing in my classes right now. So I kind of modeled it and I kind of just started going off on it. This is what I ended up with.
This is so cool. Okay, this is great. Is there anything else on the diagram you wanted to touch on, or?
No, that was it really.
That's so cool. I'm just really excited that you got to draw that and be a part of sharing that with students. This is great. So let's see, actually, did you have any tips? So you built your own Walkalong glider, right?
Yes.
Do you have any tips for students who are making their own, or who want to try and fly theirs for 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, definitely. So originally when I first did it, the cardboard that I used was like, it was a pizza box, but it was really small compared to like what you could be using. So because it was really small, it was more prone to error in my part. And so a tip, I guess, would be to get the biggest possible cardboard box that you can find in order to get like the most air into your glider. And that definitely keeps it going longer.
You're talking about, so like I've got my glider here, you're talking about the cardboard that comes along behind it to create that lift.
Yes.
Yes, the force, yeah. This is fantastic. Okay, good advice, yeah. Bigger cardboard piece helps the glider kind of stay in position better. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for the tips and for the awesome science moment. So I'm curious for you, when did you know that you wanted to pursue and study aerospace engineering?
Yeah, so it was really when I was around like 3 years old, I could say. I used to live in Dallas before, well, Grapevine technically, but my backyard was basically the DFW airport. So I would just be out there like with my mom looking at all the airplanes coming by and, flying in and flying out. And that just really interested me. And then I guess it was really solidified when like SpaceX announced I was in 6th grade. And by then I had moved to Brownsville. And then that's when SpaceX announced they were going to be building their site there in Brownsville. And that was when I was like, oh, yeah, this is definitely what I want to be doing.
That is so cool. When you said this is definitely what I want to be doing, did you have a specific dream in mind of like what you wanted to do for aerospace or for SpaceX?
Um, I guess not exactly at that time. I just kind of knew like a general idea, like, oh yeah, I want to be working like on rockets and stuff. And now I guess like the vision's like cleared up a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. So rockets. You want to be a rocket scientist?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Wow. Um, and young as 3 years old.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so if you kind of you felt that at 3 years old, so you kind of knew that in elementary and middle school and high school. Um, how was it, when you were kind of going through school, did you feel drawn to math or science, or how did that play out for you, knowing what you wanted to do and then seeing the classes you could take or things like that?
Yeah, so I guess growing up, because I knew I kind of wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I didn't know what the word was at the time, but that was my idea.
Yeah.
I knew it was definitely a lot of math, so I kind of focused more on my math classes, and that's definitely what I paid attention to the most. And fortunately, in my school, they also gave us like engineering classes, and in one of those, there was an aerospace class that I took kind of seriously, and I was able to learn a lot from.
Wow. That's awesome that your school is able to offer that for you. Do you know of any like online resources or books that you would point a student to if they don't have a school that offers an aerospace engineering class in high school? Would you say like, oh, go check out this resource? Anything coming to mind? It's okay if not.
Um, to be honest, I can't really think of any.
It's
I would
okay.
just recommend like learning the physics in high school, so it's not as hard later on.
Learning the physics in high school. Okay, so just brushing up on those math skills and the physics skills.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. So we can look up some more resources for students to kind of do a deep dive, and we can share that when we have got the Walkalong Glider activity. We'll be sharing this video and the how to build it, and we can also share like, hey, here's a great place to deep dive into those physics and brush up on math skills. Cool. Okay. So hypothetical question for you. Imagining you're talking to your 6th grade self, and what advice would you give to your 6th grade self? Um, you know, looking forward at those years coming up, like what would you say to 6th grade Ivan?
Um, I guess I would say like just get ready in a kind of way, like
Yeah.
kind of like and I would also tell him like, hey, your dreams are a lot closer than they really appear to be, because when you're like back there in that position, you kind of realizing like, oh, this is such a long time away. But in reality, it's really only a couple of years. And back then, like years feel like a long time, but as you grow older, it just they shrink drastically. Just kind of like get ready and enjoy every single moment before, because then it's going to be like a kind of grind.
Wow. That's fantastic. Wow. Um, any advice on classes that young Ivan should try and take early, or um, like when should young Ivan take algebra?
um, I guess in middle school would be the
Yeah.
best for algebra, but in general, I would pay attention to math and physics. Definitely physics, because I know when I came to UT, the physics at my school wasn't very good in my high school. And so when I came to UT and I took my first physics classes, I definitely struggled. It was really hard, not gonna lie, because some other students, came in with like physics credits already and kind of things like that. And I didn't even learn any of the topics really. So I had to definitely I guess, apply myself more than other people did and learn the stuff like brand new. But it's definitely doable. But I would suggest, starting to at least get yourself familiarized with the concepts starting in high school. So it's not so much of a kind of like a initial shock and impact of like what's going on.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm curious when you got to UT and that physics class was hard, and you found yourself struggling. Um, what was your strategy to get you through that? Did you reach out to like a professor in office hours? Did you find a physics club or friends, or just study
Yeah.
harder?
Yeah, so I would do a couple of things. First of all, I would go to office hours quite a bit, and that definitely helped because like the professors aren't like evil or anything. They're just trying to help you. They want you to learn the stuff. They want you to go on and do great things. And definitely also finding like a study group with friends. That definitely helped the most because, sometimes what I know, they might not know, and I can help them, and what I don't know, they will know. And it's just kind of like a collaborative effort. You teach each other everything, all the concepts, and that was definitely what got me through it.
That's cool. And that's great advice too. We hear that a lot from TAME clubs members, like the students say, when I was a freshman, my high school TAME club, getting to talk to the older students in the club helped me figure out like that I wanted to, try AP environmental science or learn this chemistry concept I was struggling with. And like you get to work with each other, and, whether you're in high school or middle school or college, or whether you're an aerospace engineer working at SpaceX trying to launch a rocket, it's a collaborative thing, right? And it's the
Oh,
people
definitely.
who help you. Oh, that reminds me. Listening to you talk, I was curious if you had any kind of mentors or role models who made an impact for you along this way.
Mm. I guess I would say like my teacher, a specific teacher in my high school, he definitely helped me. He was kind of like, well, you could definitely say like a role model in the sense, but I was like in an engineering club in high school, and he kind of displayed a lot of the principles that were at use, and that definitely like piqued my interest because I was able to like go around. My mom would always get mad at me. I would just go around and like apply them, and she'd be like stop, like it's annoying. But it was just interesting to me, like even little things like bathtub draining, like that could be modeled by like equations. So that would interest me. And so he kind of helped me with that. And he also like, I guess, kind of recommendation letters and things like that of the sort. But it was definitely a huge help and kind of a, and he also came to UT for engineering.
Oh, cool. So not only did he, help pique your interest, but his own experience of, studying engineering at UT kind of helped give you a roadmap of like, oh, I could do that too if he did that. That's cool. And I love that he helped you see like the equations and the science and all the physics of everyday life, just something as simple as water going down a drain. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great. Okay. Well, let's see. So we covered, your aerospace major, we covered advice, what it was like for you to get there. Um, is there anything else you can think of that you would love to share with the future aerospace engineers of Texas that are looking at this and say, I want to do what Ivan's doing?
Yeah. Just enjoy it, I guess. That would be my advice. Enjoy it. It can be hard, but once it all like comes together, it's like one of the coolest things that I could think of.
What's the best part about studying aerospace engineering?
I guess like when it all really comes together, like everything you've been learning, like all the basics, I guess you could say, when they all really come together in one class and you apply everything that you've learned to like make something fly, I guess that would be like the coolest part of being an aerospace engineer.
Absolutely. Making something fly sounds like it would be high on my cool list. Yeah, that's really awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with me today, Ivan. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with our activities so students can see these real world applications and see one awesome, path forward in STEM. So thank you
Yeah,
so much and best of luck with the rest of your semester at UT.
thank you.